Master of Teaching secondary program, and I have done that for probably about 16 years. And before that came from a secondary teaching background. My colleagues who aren't here today, Liam Frost-Camilleri is working with me in the secondary MTeach space, and Naomi Nelson coordinates the primary program. Before I launch into telling you a bit about the program, I would like to acknowledge country. Federation University acknowledges the traditional custodians of the lands and waters where our campuses, centres and field stations are located. And I'm here on Wadawurrung land, and we pay respects to elders past, present and emerging, and extend our respect to all Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander and First Nations people. I'm really interested to know why you want to teach. Teaching is such, we've been in the media quite a bit in recent times, particularly during lockdown when we had parents who were homeschooling children. For the first time since they were at school, they started to see some of the complexities involved with teaching. I haven't got access to my chat at the moment, but I'm just interested to know if any of you would like to call out, why do you want to teach? What is it about this profession that particularly interests you? Would anyone like to share? Okay, no need. I'll just make some assumptions. People go into teaching for all sorts of reasons, but usually people who go into teaching and who succeed become highly effective in the job are people-oriented people. They love to work with others, but particularly they have an interest in children, they have an interest in teenagers, but they also have an interest in working collaboratively with colleagues. It is a people-oriented profession, which is what makes it so complex. So if you love people, you love working with people, then this is probably the profession for you. Because it's people-oriented, it is challenging. We need to know our diverse students really well, and that means knowing their cultural backgrounds, their personal histories, so that we can help them to learn. So there's a lot of problem solving. In fact, every day is a little bit different, throws up new challenges and new things to celebrate. It's a different job to many other jobs that are much more routine. Teaching is increasingly means that people need to be flexible and adaptive in their work and strategic. Teachers are very strategic in their thinking. They need to be able to respond to issues in the moment as they arise, but they also need to be very reflective so that they can go away and mull over things that have happened in the day and then come back the next day with some bright ideas or some new ways of tackling what's emerged. So it's a challenging profession, it's a highly rewarding profession, and no day is the same. And there's some of the reasons why people like to go into teaching. But of course, particularly secondary teachers, but also primary teachers have, and if you're coming into a master's level program, you've got a degree behind you. So you also have a passion and deep knowledge within a particular discipline area. And that's one of the other reasons why people want to enter teaching, so that they can continue to get their teeth into the big questions, the essential questions in their particular discipline areas. Why come to Fed Uni and to our particular master's program? Well, there are three reasons why I would suggest this is the place to be. In our program, we have a small number of students. Unlike other universities where you are one of hundreds, here we have in the Master of Teaching secondary program, we have about 50 or so in our accelerated 1.5 year program, and the primary program has around 20. So small classes and very relational approaches. So we're able to model with you what effective teachers do in classrooms, so that every session that we have with you We're able to model good teaching approaches. They're interactive learning environments, and we get to know you and base our next steps in teaching on your particular needs. We have very strong embedded school-university partnerships in our programs. And what does that mean? It means that with a cluster of schools that we have strong connections to, we actually embed lots of teaching initiatives into the program which are outside of placement. So we don't just do our university thing and then you head off to placement and we come back and do the university thing again. We actually embed those teaching and learning, practical aspects of teaching across the year. And we are able to do that because we have strong connections with principals, with expert teachers in a range of schools, and with a range of school settings. So we have a specialist school in our cluster of partnerships. We have alternative school settings for kids who have been out of school for some time. We have mainstream large schools, mainstream small schools, and primary and secondary schools in that partnership cluster. And of course, regional and rural schools. The other thing is that we are able to be flexible. Because of our size, we can offer you a range of flexible learning opportunities. So we have students who are located all over the state, from Swan Hill through to Geelong, over to Horsham and over to Berwick and the Gippsland area. So because we have students who are located everywhere, we have online learning embedded into the program, but we also have lots of face-to-face learning opportunities, and where people can't come into face-to-face classes, they're able to do so through video conferencing. So that way you get a sense of being in a classroom and learning in very interactive ways, but you're able to come into the classes via the technology. So increasingly, with our diverse students, we're able to adapt our program to meet their particular needs. What about entry requirements? Because you're probably thinking, do I have what's required to enter this program? These are the entry requirements here. It's a little bit more complicated if you're coming from a secondary, if you're wanting to enter the secondary program. Your major and sub-major in your bachelor degree usually equate to your two teaching areas. If you're going to be an art teacher, then art is a double method. So art teachers only have the one method, but every other method that we offer, the students have two teaching areas. So we go through your transcripts to work out what those teaching areas are. Of course, you need to also successfully complete the CASPER test, which is not anything to be concerned about. It's a test that assesses your personal and professional attributes, and we're mandated by the national government, federal government, to take those sorts of things into consideration when we accept students and give them an offer into our program. So what does the program look like? Let's just have a closer look at the courses. As I said before, we offer a number of options, and this particular option is the secondary program of courses over 1.5 years. So a master's qualification is usually 2 years in length. So this is 1.5 years, and it's an accelerated program. It's quite intense, so that you come out qualified and ready to teach in the middle of 2023. So what you'll also notice, or what you won't notice from this this diagram, but what I can tell you is that the primaries and secondaries for 4 of those core courses, for some of those core courses, sorry, are together. So we have the primaries and secondaries together in 6025, in 6053, and 6026. And then the secondaries do their secondary curriculum subjects, and they also do a teaching and learning subject, 6045, that is specifically related to teaching in secondary schools, and the primary students do a learning and teaching course that is specifically related to teaching at a primary level. So all together for some core courses, and then separated for some other courses. So you'll see that there are 6 courses that are for the secondary people that are offered in each semester. You'll also notice the ones that are in green, Engaging Professionally 1 and 2 and 3, this is for primary and secondary, are the courses where the professional placements are embedded. There are 60 professional placement days all up. In the first semester, you do 5 days in a school. Second semester, 20 days in that same school. So you go back to that school and do a block of 4 weeks. And then in the second year of the program, during term 1, you do 35 days in a different, usually in a different school. So that's the secondary program. And this is what their primary program looks like over 1.5 years. And you'll see there that it's a little bit different. There are summer and winter school courses that occur in order to enable you to finish after 1.5 years. Now, we offer a 2-year program as well. So you can spread out those courses over 2 years. That's still considered to be a full-time course. And a lot of our international students, because of their visa requirements, they do the program over 2 years. And we also offer a 3-year version of the program, which is completed over, with a part-time program, which is completed over 3 years part-time. And that program is completely online. So no scheduled courses. Most of those students are actually working and completing a couple of courses each semester over 3 years. So as I said earlier on, we are able to offer a very flexible course of study. Now, as I was saying before, our professional placement, whether you're doing the program part-time or full-time, is 60 days in total. And the placements occur, we set those placements up for you, but we ask you for some information. Obviously, we know where you live, but we ask you for some information about where your priorities are around placements. And we then organise those placements and negotiate those with you in your local areas. We try and get you as close to home as possible. And you'll see there, that's a photo of some of our ex-students who are standing next to a silo in Birchip, which is one of our placement schools. So we really do encourage our students, because we're a regional university, and a lot of our partnership schools are regional and rural schools. We do love it when students come in and they're very keen to teach in those schools. They're fantastic schools to have placements in and to learn. They're usually, well, if not always, very close communities where there's a lot of support, particularly as you're learning how to teach and how to teach well. So great communities. And we do have one of our intensives located in a regional school where we spend 2 days and stay overnight in that community, so that you get to learn what it's like to actually work in a rural community. You're supported through those professional experience days by mentors. So you have a mentor in the school environment, and you also have a university mentor, so someone that you know well in the university context, also connects with you regularly, comes to see you in the school environment. And that's, again, something that's a bit different at Fed Uni. Some of the bigger universities aren't able to visit all of their students, but of course, because we have a smaller cohort, we are able to do that, and it's something that's we believe is really important. The assessment, we have some really sort of creative ways of assessing students too on placement. It's not just a matter of moving through a report and ticking boxes. All of our assessment criteria is based on the national standards for teachers, but we also a range of approaches. So the first placement, for instance, is assessed at a roundtable conference that is led by the PST. So we're always try to give you leadership opportunities, opportunities to actually learn deeply and to build your communication skills and your relational skills throughout the program. So that first placement is, as I said, assessed at a roundtable conference that involves a number of people, and it can actually involve students as well. So yeah, a range of different assessment opportunities. We believe that you, and you will know this yourself, have multiple ways of knowing and understanding and learning. So the assessment tasks generally across the program tap into you being able to show what you know and can do in a range of different ways. So we have a number of very creative tasks. We have a number of reflective, deep reflection tasks. So they're not all sort of essays and formal reports, although some of those sorts of tasks exist as well. But we do make sure that there are a range of ways for you to learn and to show what you know and do. Okay, there is another strand of our program that I just wanted to spend a little bit of time explaining to you too, and there's probably people in this group today who have heard about the accelerated program, the hybrid program, which is a partnership which we have with the Department of Education. It's only available for secondary, people who want to go into secondary teaching, and it's the purpose of it is to address workforce shortages in secondary schools, in some secondary schools around the state. The eligible schools are located all over the state, including in Melbourne, but in Melbourne they're usually schools that are in the outer suburbs of Melbourne rather than in the inner suburbs where there's not so much of a shortage. We have 80 funded places for the hybrid program. And what that means is when you apply, you can tick a box and say, yes, I'm interested in this hybrid program, and then we will assess your application to see whether you meet the requirements. For instance, do you live in an area where there is a workforce shortage? You must complete the program over 1.5 years and not 2 years or 3 years. You must be a domestic student and not an international student. Because the hybrid students live all over the state, they can complete the program in an online way, but they are expected to come into virtual classes that are scheduled at particular times. What do you get if you are a hybrid student? Well, you get $15,000 from the department in the first year of study, but you only get that money when you are successfully matched with a school. And being matched with an eligible school can take a little bit of time. So don't expect that you come into the program, yes, you're an eligible hybrid program and that you will automatically get that money. You only get it when you are successfully matched. And when you're matched with a school, that means you do your placement in that first year of the program with that particular school. And it means that you can actually do other things with that school during the first program. So they will invite you to curriculum days. It means you get to know the culture of that school really well and they get to know you. And then in the second year of the program, rather than doing that 35 days of placement in the first term, you are employed with permission to teach in that school for terms 1 and terms 2. So that means you actually are employed 0.8. So you're paid to continue to learn on the job. And of course, you continue to be supported with mentors, but you won't have somebody sitting in the class with you as the school mentor. You will be independently teaching. You can stay in that school beyond the length of the program. If you and the school agree, they might then set you up with a full-time load from term 3 of 2023, but there is no obligation to stay in that school. So aside from being, if you're a hybrid student, you actually complete the program in exactly the same way as everybody else. You do those same courses that we looked at earlier on, and you do the same assessment tasks. The only difference is that you're matched with that school for the whole time, you get access to that $15,000 stipend, and you're employed to teach in the school in the following year. But the university work remains the same. I'm going to go into some questions in just a sec, but I just want to just say to you, employment opportunities through our program and the statistics show it, are excellent. All of our master's students who go through our program get jobs. And it's probably because there are a smaller group of them, but they are sought after by schools. The principals, particularly in our particular area, and regional and rural areas and the outskirts of Melbourne, we have a number of students who come from areas like Melton. As I said, over in Gippsland, we have strong connections with schools. Those students get work. And as you can see there, across the university, our students have been recognised, and our university is recognised in the Good Universities Guide as #1. And just finally, you might be interested in knowing about scholarships and grants. We have a number of scholarships and grants programs that might meet your needs. So if you need to know more information about that, then look at that link on the website. And of course, on the website too, you will find all of the information about our program, some additional information, and also application details, how to apply for the primary and the secondary program, and you can apply directly through us, which means the benefit of actually applying directly means that we can let you know whether you have a place very quickly. You can alternatively apply through VTAC, which means we can't let you know whether you have a place in the program until toward the end of January. And VTAC application processes close. Lots of ways to stay in contact with us. Okay, I'm going to try and get rid of